Hey everyone, it's Paul, and I'm here with Luke.
Hello, hello.
He's gonna demonstrate a little bit about the game Flesh and Blood. It is a TCG. I've never played it before. He's gonna kind of go over the rules.
Absolutely. Okay, so the first thing you want to take note of is that this is a hero-based TCG. So you want to select a hero, and that kind of dictates how you're going to build your deck. It kind of runs like, I don't know, maybe Mortal Kombat or For Honor, where your whole deck is comprised of attack actions and D-reacts and just handling your weapon itself, which is pretty cool.
Neat.
So let's go on the fundamentals. For this time and being, we're going to select Dorinthia right here. So if we look, her intellect is 4 and her health total is 20. Basically, if your life total goes from 20 to 0 or a negative number, you are considered dunzo. You have a deck over here, which I'll showcase then, but let's actually just move it over here. You also get a weapon. Now, if we look, her specific weapon is two-handed. So basically how it gets set up is that your hero goes in the center. These are your weapon zones. It's two-handed, so it takes up both weapon zones. So far, so good?
Yep.
Awesome.
No, great.
Now, there's multiple different formats. The main one we're going to look at today is Blitz. The starting deck total, it must be 40 cards, no more, no less. You also get a suite of equipment and sideboard options. We can discuss that later. But the main cards in your deck are these. They're actions, or even reactions or instants. Now, the main thing, other than the nice art, is that they each have a color identity. Right here is red, yellow, and blue.
Okay.
They signify pitch values. So if you pitch a red, you get 1 resource, yellow's 2, and for blue, you get 3.
And explain pitch.
Pitch is if I have my 4-card hand, which is my intellect right here. If I want to pay the cost of, let's say, this card, it costs 1, I would simply place it to the left of my deck. When my turn is over, this would go to the bottom, and I would draw back up to my intellect. Just to cycle through. The game is not over when you run out of deck, and again, I'll discuss that later. That just means your hero is fatigued. It's whoever dies. So, real quick, so let's get this started. Let's say for some reason this is your hand, okay? Pretty nice, actually. And this is your intellect. So you should have a 4-card hand.
Okay, cool.
And you also have, very importantly, your hero ability. I can't quite read that. Can you read that off for me?
The first time Dawnblade, what is the second word? Resplendent.
Yep.
Gains go again each turn. You may attack an additional time with it this turn.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what you wanted me to read?
Yep, perfect. So what that tells me is that I can, as long as I give this sword go again, like to swing it again, like you net another action point, I can swing with it again. Normal weapons, you swing once and you can't do that again, but she makes an exception. So let's say you want to do that. Most of your deck aren't attacks like other heroes. This is solely focused on buffing your weapon and slicing and dicing until there's nothing left. So the first thing we want to do is maybe play this card. It makes your first swing +3 and go again. Go again means you get to play another card. If for whatever reason you don't have a card that says go again, your turn is basically over after that. And I'll show you what that looks like then. So +3, there's a cost to swing it, costs 1. So what I'm going to do is that if this is my deck, I'll place this over here. I would simply pitch. I would let me get some dice here.
When you say cost 1,
Yep.
you mean I'm getting rid of one of these cards
Correct.
in order to play it.
Correct. So there's
And when does this replenish?
at the end of your turn. So let's say this is your
I got you.
phase. You get 3 resources by pitching this, but then by spending 1 to swing the weapon, you're now down to 2, and right now it's coming in for 5. You may also notice that these cards have values. So let me get out just 2 of mine over here, or just a couple. I have attack values on my cards, but also block values. So you're coming in for 5. Let's say, you know what, I'm going to block for 3. I'll take 2 damage. And you always
Okay.
get 20 health, so now I'm already down to 18. But your bread and butter is giving this go again. You have an attack reaction. After I pass on blocks, you can react to make it go 1 over, and it will create a token as it hits me, basically. So you essentially establish a way to give your weapon go again, deal more damage, and you get more benefits from doing so.
Okay, interesting. So am I able to just, in terms of these cards here, this one I was able to just play. I could just,
Correct.
and I would draw up to 4 each time, and I can play those however I'd like. The only thing that I have to be aware of is if I do want to utilize go again,
Correct.
I have to discard a card, essentially.
You're basically recycling. The problem is that when you play this card and do your attack react, they will eventually go to your graveyard. Down below is the banished, and this is your combat chain. And if I move these heroes away, this is what's occurring. You've committed a non-attack action. You've committed an attack, which is your weapon. I proceeded to go to the block phase. So I blocked from hand, +3. You went to attack react. I'm going to check my hand. I don't have any further D-reacts. And in your hand, you have another attack reaction, and you could buff it. All of these cost 0, and you still have 2 floating. Because we gave your weapon go again, we can simply spend 1. Whoop, you go down to 1. There we go. And you can swing this once more, which is an issue because let's say I have a card that has no block. I can't block with it. So you're forcing my hand to block with this. I'm probably taking more damage. The key aspect is that the more cards I commit to blocking is how many cards I get to play on my turn. So if you're able to rip all the cards out of my hand, I have to go to end phase. I would arsenal, draw back up to my intellect, which would be 4, and I'd pass it back to you. That's called keeping tempo. You always want to keep tempo when going against your opponents. It's okay to lose tempo at different points of the game, but because life totals are so low, those aspects, you need to be very careful when they do occur. And that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that was a really good explanation. So a couple of questions. We talked about the turn phase. It seemed like I was doing the attacking and you were doing the blocking.
Correct.
In that example. Does it alternate, or would you have had an opportunity if you wanted to attack in between me playing a card?
There are classes that allow you, for example, the wizard, they specialize in dealing arcane damage, and that's instant speed. And right now, as we're learning, I think it's only fair that I only block and not do some wizard shenanigans and attack you while you're attacking me. But there are classes that allow you to do that.
Okay. So it would be I take a turn as the attacker.
Correct.
And then you, with your hand, utilize your cards to defend however possible while I'm using mine to attack.
Absolutely.
And then the next time we turn, or it switches.
Correct.
And it goes back and forth. And you were saying with keeping tempo, it's a matter of trying to basically make sure that you're using all your cards, but you're not running out of cards. Otherwise, if you run out of cards in each phase, if you're calling it a phase, or
yeah, a turn. Yeah.
Is it, well, right. Yeah, you're right. A turn. Then basically you're taking additional damage.
Correct.
Cool. All right. So yeah, I guess we can try to go and play a quick game against each other.
Sure. One last thing, if you never want to commit cards out of your hands, we have these nifty equipment pieces. For you specifically, you have a warrior. So here's a good chest piece, arm piece. You can run a warrior head or a generic headpiece and something for your feet.
Cool.
But yeah, it normally goes head, chest, arms, and then feet. You can literally wear nothing, or you can completely suit yourself up in armor. If you'd like, I can put you on Dorinthia. She is quite strong. You will balance, go again, and attack reactions to whittle down your opponent to nothing.
Okay. So as far as wearing this armor goes, is that something that happens you determine at the beginning of the game?
Yeah. So if normally what happens is that these cards off of your deck, and I'll let you shuffle freely. And this is one of the starter heroes, so it allows you to get into the game. But if this is a competition you'd go to, your equipment is normally face down. You don't have to reveal until the game starts. For example, you and I would roll dice. Let's say, I rolled a lower number than you, and you say, you know what, Luke, you go first. I'm like, okay. So I figure out my equipment, we start the game, and then we both reveal our equipment, and that can be detrimental. I can still decide to change my equipment before the game starts. If you say, you know what, Luke, I want you to go second, like, okay, that could change the type of armor I want to wear, just in case. So it's very pivotal moments, and then we start, you just reveal. Now, there are some newer aspects of the game that change the way armor works, but I think it's best that we stick to heroes that are easy to pick up, easy to master, before we go into the nuances of other heroes.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool.
Well, thanks for the explanation.
Yeah, no problem.
Get this set up and start playing.
Absolutely.